Are you ready to plan for the week? Let's do it together. This week I'm using this beautiful hydrangea sticker kit from Hand Can Plan. And this is actually designed for the dashboard layout. So all the stickers are designed to fit into this planner. So I have really enjoyed using these kits. I have already gone through and filled out my monthly spread for August with all of the dates that I need to remember. And now I am ready to fill out my dashboard. So I think I'm going to do something similar to what I did last month. So I'm going to start with my priorities up here in the top box and then record the books that I read during the month in the second box. And this month, I'm going to put a Bible verse in the long box at the bottom. And then I will put some to dos that I'd like to keep in mind for the month on that to do box over there. I really haven't found myself referencing back to that too much. I do keep a running to do list on my phone. I have an app called To Do. It's spelled Teuxdeux, like the French type spelling. So I do keep a running to do list on there, and I love this app. You can use it for free, but you can also get a subscription for the year or pay by the month. And it's really inexpensive. I actually got this year for free because I am a teacher. um, that is something you can keep in mind if you're interested, but you can make all different categories of lists on there. And so I have lists for, books that I want to read, things that I might want to buy when I'm out and about. Um, I have to do lists for work and home and all different categories, even shows that I'd like to keep in mind to watch sometime. So, right here, I am trying a different layout for my goal tracking for this month. So I decided I would just divide this into some boxes. And at the end of the month, I go back and write down any progress towards my different goals for the year. So I have my goals kind of divided into some different categories. So each one of these boxes will be for a different category, which I did this and made 6 boxes, but then I realized I really only have 5 categories for my goals. So I have one extra box. I'll have to think of something I want to do with that, or I might just leave it blank. books, and so I will be filling in this page more at the end of the month when I see what kind of progress I've made towards my goals. Here is what this spread looks like so far for the month of August. Got my goals on the right hand side, and then wrote priorities and books read on the left side. So now I'm going to add in the Bible verse that I chose for this month at the bottom of the page. Can you guys believe that it's already August? I still am surprised. I think this summer flew by so quickly. Actually, this whole year in general is flying by really quickly for me. I guess the older you get, they say, the faster it feels like time moves. And I feel like that is very true for myself. As a teacher, I'm preparing to go back to school and, back to work again. So August is kind of bittersweet, our last days at home for the summer, but it's also very exciting to me to go and meet my new students and their families and get the school year started. I love a fresh start for the school year. I love buying new supplies for school and, freshening up my classroom and just trying out some new things. So I'm excited for all of that to get started. Okay, and thinking through my priorities for the month of August, like I said, I am preparing to go back to work as a teacher. So, preparing for school is definitely one of my top priorities for this month. Also, just setting up my routines for the school year since the summer is very different and the speeds, and things we have to do are a lot different in the summer. So I got to work on establishing those good routines for back to school and also focusing on rest because the beginning of the school year is very exhausting for me as a teacher. Also, for my daughter getting started back to school, it's just a time, where it can be stressful, but we need to take time to rest. And then, of course, I always like to focus on my relationships. So, my relationship with my husband, with my daughter, and with our family and my friends too. I'd like to make that a priority all the time. And we're finally ready to start the weekly spread. So, I'm excited to use this kit. I just think it is so pretty. It's my favorite colors, and I think it's just so cute. Hannah has the cutest sticker kits. I also really appreciate that her stickers are easily repositionable. So I feel like I always have to adjust them a bunch of times while I'm using, any sticker kit. And so it's nice to have ones that you can pull up and fix when you get them a little crooked or a little off. So then you can do it without destroying the paper on your planner. I'm going to start out by putting this washi strip up at the top of my spread. I also really like how the blue and greens look with this kind of mustardy color for August. I think they go nicely together and kind of complement each other. So, thinking about going back to work and what I can do to kind of ease that transition for myself and also the transition of my daughter going back to school for another school year. One thing that I always try to think to myself in the evening is what can I do tonight that's going to make tomorrow easier for myself? So, some big things that I try to do are to lay out my daughter's clothes for the next day. A lot of times I will pick out my own clothes too, or I'll have a good idea of what I'm going to wear the next day before I go to bed. And that way, if I know that that clothing item is going to need to be ironed or anything like that, fluffed in the dryer, then I can get it ready and I don't have to think about it in the morning when I'm tired and I'm trying to get ready for work. I also like to make sure that my kitchen is clean and ready to go. So I make sure that my dishes are done from the night before and everything's picked up and tidied in the kitchen and the living room so that things are ready for the morning when we're making breakfast and making coffee. Usually, my husband will make the coffee for me in the morning before I leave to go to work because he leaves a little later than me. But if I'm ever home and my husband is not going to be there to make the coffee, then I will go ahead and program the coffee maker to start, at a certain time so that the coffee is ready for me to go in the morning. I also make sure that my work bag is prepped and ready to go if there's anything that I need to bring with me the next day. Then I will have that ready, laying either with my work bag or inside my work bag. And I do the same thing for my daughter or give her reminders to do it herself now that she is older and, going into sixth grade. She's able to do a lot more of that stuff independently. Another note with that, too, since my daughter is older, she prefers to bring her lunch to school. And I used to always pack her lunch for her, but now that she's older, we found that it works well for her just to choose what she wants to eat for the day. And so she's responsible for packing her lunch for school. So she has different options available to her and she knows, what she can pack up for lunch for the next day. So she takes care of that in the morning. But if you have a younger child and you need to pack their lunch, that's another thing that you can kind of prep in the evening so that it's ready for you just to toss into the lunchbox the next morning. Another thing that I always think about is whether I am going to be exercising the next day after work. So I do prefer to work out in the afternoons or evenings. And so a lot of times during the school year, I have certain days where I will go to jazzercise right after school. And so on those days, I have to make sure that I have clothes to change into at work so I can go and work out and make sure that I get in all those classes that I want to attend for this year. I really love using these washi tapes that are included with this sticker kit to divide up the different sections of the dashboard layout. I think it looks really nice and kind of adds some visual discrimination between the different sections. So, going back to thinking about building routines for the school year, another thing that I like to think about is meals. And so, a lot of times, what I do to make meal prep easier, actually year round, I do this in the summer too, but I buy like a larger quantity, sometimes five, but a lot of times I buy 10 pounds of ground beef. And I go ahead and pre cook that meat ahead of time and divide it into like 1 pound segments. And I put those into baggies and I freeze them. And so then when I'm making a meal during the week, I don't have to worry about like cooking up that ground beef to go with the recipe. I can just pull it out and use it in the recipe like I thought it and put it into the recipe that I'm making. And that saves me a lot of time with meal prep. Of course, this is where planning really comes into play and thinking ahead on your meals. So, anything that I can get ready on the weekend for the week ahead, I try to do that if I have time. I can go ahead and pre cut, fruits and vegetables to be ready to go and prep some of the meat. Sometimes I do also pre cook chickens. So my husband raises chickens, meat birds, and butchers them. And so we have a lot of whole chickens and also, um, breasts and things like that. So sometimes we will go ahead and just put one of those whole chickens into the pressure cooker or into a crock pot and go ahead and cook the whole thing. And then we can shred up that meat to use in recipes during the week. So we might just keep those in the refrigerator. I found that works better for chicken if you're going to use it within a few days rather than freezing if you're going to shred it, because it just doesn't keep and thaw as well as the ground beef does. So those are some things that I do to help prep meals ahead of time. Of course, too, if you do any freezer meal prep ahead of time, that makes it a lot easier and quicker. And thinking about which days you're going to be busier, keeping meals simple on those days is very helpful. If you have any great tips for, creating a new routine or a back to school routine in particular for yourself or your children, please share those in the comments. I love, getting new ideas from other people, and we can all learn from each other. I still just can't believe it's already time to go back to school. And my daughter, she's an only child. She's going into sixth grade this year, and it just feels like she's so big all of a sudden. She actually, was in middle school last year for fifth grade in our town. They ran out of room at the elementary school, and so they had to move fifth grade into the middle school. And so she starts a little earlier than even the school district where I teach. So it's just going to be a little different this year because she actually will be switching classes and doing an individual schedule rather than last year. She was in a homeroom class with one group of kids and they all rotated through their core classes together. So she was with the same group of children all day, but this year she will have her own individual schedule. And so I just can't believe it. Time is flying. So let me know if you have any kids, what ages they are, what grades they're going into this year, and how you're feeling about it. I hope you guys are doing okay. It's awesome for your kids to grow older, but it's also kind of sad at the same time. Okay, back to plans for this week. One of the big things that I have coming up is that our new puppy Harvey is getting neutered. So we are going to have to drop him off at the vet kind of early in the morning, and he will stay there all day for the surgery and then to be observed and make sure he's coming out of the anesthesia okay. And then we will have some aftercare things to do at home. Poor little guy is going to be in a cone for at least a week, so that will be fun. Actually, one of my friends and coworkers is a volunteer for a local rescue where we actually got him. And so she has recommended, like, if he doesn't like the cone, that we just put him into like a onesie for a baby. And so that way it can cover the incision so that he can't get to it and he can be a little more comfortable than wearing the cone. So we will probably be trying that with him, because puppies, are often just a little clumsy anyway. And then when you add a cone on top of that and they're bumping into everything, it's very scary and startling for them. So hopefully, doing something like that will make him a little more comfortable. He has been also sleeping with us at night. So I think that will make us all a little more comfortable than, him sleeping in this giant plastic cone with us. Another thing I have to do this weekend is get my windshield repaired again. I just had it replaced only a few weeks ago, and it is already cracked again. My new windshield got hit by a rock again. There's a lot of construction going on in between my home and where I work. And so I guess, something flew up and hit the windshield again. So I got another crack and have to get it replaced again. So that's going to be fun, waiting another few hours for them to replace the windshield and test all the sensors and everything again. So another highlight to my week for this week. I did schedule a massage that same day. So since I'm getting ready to go back to work, I have a monthly subscription to a local massage place. My husband gifted me that for my birthday a few years ago, and I've just continued the subscription. And it's the membership, I guess I should say. And it's just so nice. I can get a massage or a facial once a month. And so I have that scheduled. I figured that would be nice to do, and just, a little extra relaxation right before I head back to work and start a new school year. Got all my standard things for the week. So I do my sitter shift at Jazzercise to get a discount on my membership. So I do that every Saturday morning. Although I am thinking I'm going to change my schedule soon, because the other commitment that I have each week is that my daughter is on the gymnastics team. And so she does currently 5 hours a week of practice for that. And so with her new fall schedule, both of her practice days are on the weekdays. And so I already have to be hanging around waiting for her to do her practices. And Jazzercise is right across the street from the gym where she does gymnastics. And so it's just nice for me to go and I exercise while she is doing gymnastics. And this way I can go ahead and do my sitter shift during the week while she's at gymnastics too. And then I have one less commitment for the weekend. And I will actually have a day that I can potentially sleep in a little bit if I want to, which I have not had for years, between, getting up for work during the school year during the week, and then, church on Sundays. And I've been babysitting on Saturdays for, I think about 5 years now. So that's been going on quite a while, and I very rarely, swap with somebody. So that's been an ongoing commitment. And it will be nice to have a change for a while and a little break from that and be able to take Saturdays a little slower and kind of do what I want. So, thinking ahead to things that I need to get done this week, my dad's birthday is next week, and I have got to think of something to get him. I have two sisters, and we struggle every time we have to get our dad a gift for his birthday or Christmas or Father's Day. He just isn't the kind of guy that asks for a lot, and he really doesn't need a lot. And I don't know. When we ask him what he wants, he won't ever share anything. So a lot of times we just get him gift cards to his favorite restaurants and stuff like that. We have like a standing date with our dad. Each week we all meet up with him and go out to lunch or dinner, usually on Sunday. And so, it's helpful when we give him gift cards to some of the places we go and eat and help pay for those meals, because most of the time he insists on paying for all of us. And now that I'm married and have a daughter, and then my middle sister is engaged, and her fiance has two sons from a previous marriage. And so sometimes they come, very rarely, but our group is growing larger, and my dad is remarried. So sometimes his wife comes, and it's just, a bigger group than when it was just the four of us or five of us, including my husband, going, years ago. So anyway, we like to help him out with that. I also have to finish buying school supplies for my daughter. So I got most of the things. I just ordered them through the Walmart pickup, all the basic stuff like pencils and pens and highlighters. But I know she's going to want to pick out her own notebooks and folders and stuff. So we need to actually run into the store to do that, and hope that there are some decent ones left. So that's one thing that I want to get done. And I need to order some dog tags for our new puppy. He has a collar that my friend Sarah, who I work with, made. She has a little uh, collar making business on Etsy. It's called Cindy May and Co. If you're interested, and she makes some adorable custom uh, different like fabrics and things like that, collars that you can order. So she made us a really cute collar for Harvey, but we need some tags just in case he would get lost. He does have a microchip, but it's great to have their name and everything on there too. So I need to get that ordered. And the letter links, I wrote this down. Um, I teach preschool, and so we use a curriculum called High Scope. And in that curriculum, one of the things that we do to help children learn some letters and the letters in their name is that they have a special symbol that represents their name in our classroom. It's called their letter link. So, for example, my name is Kristen. And so my letter link symbol is crayons because they start with the same sound as Kristen. So each child has a symbol that starts with the same beginning sound as their name. And then that's always on their name tag at the beginning of the year so that we can associate that with the sound of their name and they start to recognize their name. And so it's a great way to teach that. And I've been having some problems with the website. So I need to check into that and see what's going on. I also need to make a grooming appointment for our dogs. My schnauzer is getting a little shaggy. Her eyebrows are a little long. So I've got to text them and schedule that. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope that you got all your planning done for this week, and I will see you back for the next one. Bye.